Hey everyone, it's Ethan here. I have recently gotten into Diamond whilst queuing solo as well actually. So I thought I'd do a quick guide as to how to play in Diamond 4 at least. Diamond 3 is a whole different beast and I'll do a video on that shortly as I am actually there now. So I've picked this one to go through. Now this was actually not one of my best games in Diamond, not one of the most efficient ones with the highest kills and things, but it was actually I think my first game in Diamond and one where we spawned in with only 2 of us. So I thought it was a good one to actually show that even with kind of things set against you a little bit, even if you're not entirely used to it, and even if you spawn in without a third player, you can still actually get a pretty good finish, if you play smartly that is, and patiently. So we have landed Gauntlet here. Now, I looked to make sure that nobody else was dropping around the same time as us, which they weren't, which was fantastic. And my teammate as well there just pinged as well to say that there were some teams sort of to our west, but Gauntlet itself, we actually have completely free. Now, I checked there, the little ring in the middle, to see whether it was a body shield in there, but it wasn't. So we've already got a blue one, and we're going to focus mainly on getting weapons instead at the moment. Because a team is most likely going to rotate into Gauntlet. That's what a lot of teams do on Ranked. They drop somewhere a little bit separate to a big place, and then they rotate into the big place to try and get a third party, hoping obviously that 2 teams dropped in the big place. Now, unfortunately for anybody that tries to rotate on us, we're the only but ones that spawned here. So you can see there, I've got a Hemlock and I just switched that Scout to an R99. Now that's because I need a mid to long range gun as well as a short range gun as well, which is obviously going to be the R99 in this case. I didn't swap the Hemlock because I wanted to make sure I've got 1 heavy gun and 1 light gun. Now, I just spot the enemies up there. I had a little quick look in that direction because I knew that the teammate pinged them right as we were dropping in. So I knew they were going to be rotating in eventually. And I bounce over here, miss the knockdown shield. But what I'm trying to do is get around to the same side as my teammate, because at the moment, she's in trouble. And I know that they're going around that way. I can't actually see them. I just catch them there after I've thrown the grenade, but I know they're heading that way, so I'll pop a couple of grenades on anyway. And that's why we need a mid-range gun. So now we've actually got it down to a 2v2. I'm trying to finish this guy so that there's no possibility of them reviving. She's just downed another one, so I can come in here. And I'm just going to actually pause it here. So me going around that side then, I could have gone all the way around the right hand side, or as you see the top of the screen, or the south. However, I knew that they were in the middle around these crates, so I actually went straight for the jump pad to go over, because now they are trapped between me and the teammate. We've pincered them, in other words. You can see there, it's just that lifeline on the bottom of the screen, so I ping them out to the enemy, make sure the Bangalore is shooting my own teammate, and we're going to just finish her off here. But overall, that was a nice, easy fight, and it was mainly because we had 2 different angles on them. I was able to down one from where I was, put some grenades in to stop the flank coming round, and obviously the teammate had a good view on them from where she was as well. Grab the 3x sight because we need something that's going to be able to hit a little bit longer range, which is obviously going to be our Hemlock on single fire, which is a fantastic gun by the way, and especially if you've got a 3x or a 2 to 4x on it. So we're going to pick that up there. So there we go, there's the good start anyway, and that was basically being able to drop somewhere where there's no teams, which is very, very important, because if you do drop on a team, it's basically a 50-50 chance at that point. I mean, if you drop on 2 teams, then you've got a third of a chance really of coming out the other end of it okay. However, if you drop on your own, at least you can get yourself geared up and you're actually ready for a fight. And like I say there, I actually looked in that direction because I already knew that they were spawning around there and would be on their way over. It's just chances more than anything. 90% of the time that team that drops on those buildings that they did are going to come over this way. So we grabbed the gold knockdown shield, which is incredibly important in ranked. I mean, it took a little while to grab it there because on controller trying to pick up items and using the same thumb to also move your sight around is sometimes a bit of a pain. And I just hear the Havoc revving up there, which allows me to turn around. And I do just spot them. I do take a couple of shots. And I'm realizing here, we're not going to do anything whilst they're on that high ground. They're going to be able to jump down, so we need to reposition. I try and get that across my teammate. I was tempted to go over the zip wire. However, we need to get the high ground instead. So I don't go over the zip wire. Instead, what we do is come up to here. If you can get high ground advantage, always go for it. And I know that they were up on top of that thing. They're going to take a little while to get over here, so I've got enough time to climb up here. And it looks like they were taking a few shots at my teammate there. But with a Havoc, they're not going to be able to get us very well from that kind of distance. You can see they've popped a smoke, which has actually interfered with themselves, because I think that they still think that we're in Gauntlet at the moment, so I just kind of have a little watch over them. And I'm thinking, you know what, maybe we can get them. If one of them stands still long enough, we might be able to down one, then it's a 2v2, and we're actually up for a fight. But at the moment, obviously, 3v2, we've got to be a little bit careful. So just watching them carefully, and see this one on the roof staying still for a little moment here, so I'm going to take a couple of shots, but She gets down really quick, and I go, you know what? That's enough of that. Let's reposition. Luckily, though, I was watching them, gave my teammate time to grab some loot as well, because I got the most of the loot from the death boxes of that first team. So I actually looked at the map there. We're going to reposition all the way to Slum Lakes, because that's in the ring, and I know that we can head all the way around the outside. Airbase is obviously clear, otherwise that teammate would have seen somebody and pinged them out. And Runoff is probably going to be clear at this point as well. They're probably going to have already rotated into pit, etc., and probably bunker direction. So we're obviously going to listen out for enemies, but mainly we're just going to try and rotate really, really quickly, because that team is going to be looking out for us that's behind us. They're probably going to make their way, and we just want to get completely out of their range, basically. They're not going to really expect or want to chase us if we are just running as fast as we can. Now, I would obviously want that shield battery, but I'm not running all the way for it. I'm trying to get my teammate to hurry up a little bit here. So whilst we are running this way, and I actually pick up an ultimate accelerant, that's because I'm playing Wattson, by the way. This kind of guide, though, is usable for any legend, really. It's just a case that I am Wattson, so there are going to be a few little bits. And I actually hear enemies running around there, so I'm going to turn off in this direction instead. And I'm just staying still, making sure they can't hit my footsteps, waiting until that, and I put a ping down as to where we want to actually end up. So yeah, there are going to be a few things that are obviously Wattson orientated during this, but a lot of it is just mainly repositioning when to take fights on, when not to take fights on, especially when you're only a two-man group as well. It might be helpful because sometimes you do lose a teammate at the start, so at least you can kind of use this guide for that. And also, I mean, if you use this kind of guide and get this kind of positioning and when to take fights on in your head, then at least when you got a third person, it's even easier. So going back, we picked up the gold knockdown shield. Now, I was saying that that is so important in ranked, and that is because obviously you get points for placement. And if you make it to that end circle where there's sometimes quite a few teams in some of the matches, I mean, in this match, there's actually 8 teams dead already, which is quite fast, really. So usually there's about 15 left at this point. But sometimes that last circle can end up with quite a few teams, so a gold knockdown can be really, really effective for that, because somebody downs you and then they're too busy worrying about somebody coming in for the third party. They don't watch you, and a few teams can die whilst you're just sat there with a gold knockdown and can get your res up, basically. I mean, even if you don't manage to get the res off, then at least you're still alive, technically. Actually, there, what I do is actually swap a little bit of light ammo for some heavy. Now, that is because I'm going to be using heavy ammo quite a bit more, because we're going to be trying to keep our distance quite a lot. So, more heavy than light. Our R99, I'm probably not even going to really want to use it until near the end of the game. And I actually pick up the Evo shield as well because of that. And that's because the Hemlock on single fire can really farm damage. If we get some high ground and we can poke at teams, then the Hemlock can fill that up to a purple and even red Evo shield fairly quickly. It's incredibly surprising, actually, how quickly you can get to purple shields now that they have buffed the Evo shields a little bit. So while we're doing this, I'm not going to bother picking up another ultimate accelerant. It's a little bit pointless, but I do let my teammate know that these have been looted already. And whilst we are running around here, I'm picking a position, but we are keeping to the outskirts of the match, because a lot of teams, they're going to be rotating inwards. So we're going to keep on the outskirts, and then at least we're safe, because we don't want to take fights on here. We've already got 2 kills. There's still 11 squads left. Once that drops down to 10, we're going to get a few more points. And mainly, because I spawned in with only 1 person, I'm not even really going for the win in this one. I'm just trying to make sure that we don't go into negatives. But obviously, the more points we can get, the better. So all the way during this match, what I tend to do is make sure I'm keeping an eye on, obviously, how many kills, assists we've got, but mainly how many squads are left as well, because it can go into where to play the final circles at. And at the moment, because there's still so many squads left, we're going to keep to the edge of that circle, because the center of it is actually, I mean, there's 11 squads in this circle somewhere, so if we try and move into the center, chances are we're going to run into somebody. And like I say, with only 2 of us, we don't really want to do that. And in fact, at this stage of the match, even if I was in a full 3-man team, I wouldn't want to do that either. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the jump tower here, and we're going to get ourselves up on top of this mountain, because I'm looking at the circle and I'm thinking, you know what, it looks as though it's actually going to end over here somewhere. So if we can set ourselves up on here, we are going to be sitting absolutely pretty. So that is exactly what we're going to do. So this is where obviously the Wattson comes in handy. Now when you're playing ranked, there's a few legends that are really key. One of them being Wattson, and the other one is Wraith. Wraith and Wattson are basically must-haves. If nobody on my team picks those, that's who I'm going to pick, and that's actually who I usually end up being. Probably about 99% of the time on ranked is one of those 2. Now, the other one as well that you might want to pick is Caustic as well. Caustic, I think, is the most effective. A Wraith Wattson Caustic team is absolutely insane. And there is actually also Pathfinder as well. Now, Pathfinder is still useful, especially for the survey beacons. So, if you could get a Pathfinder, a Wraith, and a Wattson, that is a good combination. Or even Pathfinder, Wattson, and Caustic as well. Because then you can get the survey beacon up, you know where the ring's going to end, and you can set yourself up nice and early. So make sure as well, when you are playing ranked, even if you're playing in randoms and not squadding up properly, try and pick a legend that is actually effective for the team as well. I was playing some Diamond yesterday as well, and I was getting people like Octane on my team, which obviously is very, very fun to play in pubs. But when it comes to ranked, he's near enough useless. So I'm just having a look at the top right there. I've seen there's now only 8 squads left, so we're actually looking pretty good. Now at this point, we could maybe rotate in and try and think about taking on a third party with some gunshots, but with there only being 2 of us, I'm actually just going to keep myself nicely set up here, and you can see we've already got it absolutely decked out. Nobody's going to be able to zip line onto this bit that I've already got fenced up. Nobody's going to be able to chuck any grenades or Gibraltar bombardments onto this part. Well, they're going to be able to chuck them, but it's not going to do much when I've got the ultimate up there. And I've just got fences here as well, just in case somebody zip lines up onto this part here to the south slightly, which I'm just walking on now. And basically, if they do that, then they're still going to have to try and get through my fences. And now that I've got enough fences, I'm actually going to put one up there as well, just in case they do try and zip up there. But the point being, really, even if they do manage to get up there, which is possible because they might put an ultimate or grenades down where my ultimate isn't, then they're still going to have to get through the rest of my fences. And I've played a bit more Wattson since this match, and I'll see some of my fences here are not very good. They don't really need to be great at the moment. And I'm just listening out for gunshots. That's why I'm taking looks over here. And there you go. The Bangalore has found somebody. But with it being over there, it's probably just 1 or 2 people. I'm trying to get her to come back over onto the jump tower and get repositioned. However, she is still going for the fight. So I'm just going to try and watch and cover from up here. I don't want to lose my position up here. And what I'm trying to do now is actually just farm damage. I'm trying to get my shields up. Once my shields are up enough, then I can go and join in the fight. But for now, I'm just trying to draw their attention, and maybe the Bangalore can get them, because I think it is only 1 player up there. The fact that the Bangalore was over there for so long before she saw them kind of says to me it wasn't a team, and I think I would have seen the team rotating around as well. I feel as though this is a person that's been hiding here for a while, or a rat, in other words. So yeah, since I've been playing Wattson a little bit more, I'll just talk over this while we watch over our Bangalore. I have actually learnt how to place the fences a little bit better, and basically it's a case of placing them in the form of triangles, because then you're getting more bang for your buck, basically, because it's the number of nodes you use which is limited. However, you can link up a couple of those nodes to more than one other node, basically. And working in triangles like that as well, it also helps, because if one of them gets destroyed, one of the little nodes, then you still have a fence up, basically. Whereas at the moment, if one of these nodes gets destroyed, then it actually is destroying 2 fences. So the Bangalore's in a bit of trouble here. I'm trying to get her to retreat, but I know that she's not going to, so this is where I'm going to come in and help. I'm still pinging to get her to try and retreat. So this is a point where I'm like, you know what? The Bangalore here isn't listening to me. We should have kept the high ground. We're going to have to push in. I don't really have a choice in this case. Ideally, what I would say is keep the high ground, but that's only if your squad is as well. But this is the problem when playing with random sometimes. And there you go. We've now actually got 2 people on us. So there was somewhere else, but we do get the assist from that one. And I'm going to just try and get the Bangalore to reposition this way, because there is still a Mirage down there who shot at us. We're going to get a quick little run around here. And I'm trying to get the Bangalore to retreat. The reason I'm actually doing this is, I think now that I've watched it back, I realise that it's just 1 Mirage, but I thought it was a 3rd team coming in that might be a full team, which is why I'm trying to get the Bangalore out of here. And she is actually following me now, which is good. So we could have taken that fight on, but again, in ranked, it's just not worth that risk, because he already got a couple of shots on us. He knew exactly where we were, however, I wasn't sure where he was at that point. And a Mirage as well, with his decoys that he can pop out, is absolutely horrible to fight in a 1v1. Or even a 2v1 as well. He's the legend that is kind of designed for that, basically. So we're going to get ourselves repositioned up here as well. Now, Bangalore chasing that one that seemed to be on their own there. It's actually Oh, there you go. She gets sniped. So I'm going to try and get her behind here and revived. So what we should have actually done was we should have kept this high ground, kept our eye on her, and then when the ring pushed her in, we could have then shot her as she tried to run across open ground, basically. That's how you're supposed to play that. However, obviously, Bangalore pushed it, so we had to as well. Now, the reason I knew that this was a third party as well, now I didn't know whether it's just a Mirage or whether it's a full team, was because, obviously, we got that assist straight away. As soon as that Loba went down, she was eliminated dead, which means, obviously, she didn't have any other teammates alive, so she was indeed on her own, which means the Mirage was a different team. Whether he's got teammates with him or not, I still am not too sure at this stage, actually. We may find out later on. But I think, for now, it was not worth the risk of pushing it, even if he was on his own. So obviously, picking out some enemies. We're going to still try and farm some Evo damage as well. We don't have a great barrel stabilizer on a Hemlock, so our shots are not amazing in this one. Like I say, it was I think my first match of the day as well, actually. My first Diamond match and my first one of the day. But we do actually get the knock on there as well, which is nice. Now, he's probably not going to get eliminated because he's going to be able to crawl to his team. I'm not even going to be watching it because he was already almost out of sight there. What I'm going to do instead is just keep an eye on the back. So I'm making sure that nobody is Pathfinder zip lining up to us, basically, because sometimes you don't hear it. The audio can be a little buggy at times. So you've got to keep your eyes out as well. And obviously, there's big teams here that we can farm damage on. So there we go. We get purple Evo shield straight away, I said. So it doesn't take too long. And we actually get the elimination there as well. So that means that Pathfinder probably died. I think my teammate just finished him off. But there is still a team over there shooting at us. Now, I'm not using my shield cells as well because my ultimate is slowly charging our shield, so there's no point wasting them. And you can see where this next ring is coming in, so this is why setting up here was so important, and it's why I wanted to rotate around to Slum Lakes in the first place as well and go around all that outside. And we've just got to be really careful here because obviously one of them has a sniper, and I was not careful enough. I'm not sure where I got shot from there. I think it was maybe the other side, but I have no idea, so I'm going to try and get behind the tree. So I think we got hit from one side and then hit from the other, like straight afterwards. So luckily they didn't get the Bangalore as well, otherwise you would have been in real trouble there, but that's just a little bit of advice. Keep your head down, guys. And it's also a case of when you do have that high ground, like this, with the Wattson, you do actually draw a lot of attention to yourself as well. So that is something that you need to watch out for. And basically, if you do have obviously a full team, then you need to all kind of be watching different directions and just sometimes putting down a little bit of covering fire. If somebody does snipe at you, maybe if you can get a couple of shots down and then maybe get a few shots on their armor, make them back off a little bit. Which is also why in ranked it's so important to have a gun like a Scout or a Hemlock or even a Sniper if you're comfortable with that. And this is where people are pushing in and we can try and get them as the ring pushes them. We are actually still safe up here for a little bit. Half of our area is still going to be okay. All I'm doing at the moment is just trying to drop one of these guys, but a good Gibraltar Dome shield messes that up for us. I'm just looking at where that last circle is going to be. We're going to have to jump down eventually. But at the moment we can go and help our team out. We've still got a minute and a half almost. Or a minute and a third. So yeah, if you are comfortable with snipers, then by all means use a sniper. I find often actually I don't get the chance to get any kills with snipers on ranked. By the time people keep enough of a distance from you and you don't want to push them too much, you don't want to give it your high ground so much, that by the time that you've knocked somebody down with a sniper, they can just get behind cover and get rest. Whereas something like with a Hemlock, you can put down a constant barrage of fire, which kind of makes them panic a little bit more, basically. But yeah, very different to pubs, where in pubs you can run things like an R99 and a Mastiff and basically just push teams all the time and get, you know, into the double figures of kills most games. Yeah, ranked is a little bit different. You're going to want something that can do some poking damage just to keep teams off your back a little bit. Otherwise, what you'll find happening is people will just keep you at a complete distance. And you won't be able to do anything. Trying to shoot with a Mastiff from halfway across the map. So we're going to have to drop down there eventually. The Bangalore there is pinging down a specific position as to where we're going to drop to. And she's just pinged just behind that crate there, which I completely agree with. But we've got to watch ourselves on this side here. We're going to have to move eventually. I do have my ultimate ready. So the Bangalore's pinged that crate. My job is going to be basically to jump down there, pop my ultimate down, and pop some fences immediately. The Bangalore's job is going to be to cover me. Now that is something where, even playing with randoms, you've got to have that kind of innate knowledge. And there we go. team's on us, so we're going to get behind this cover. That's why it was so important that the Bangalore looked over the edge and pinged it out, and I also pinged it as an okay, yep, that is exactly where we're going to go, because then at least we know what cover we're running into. You need to know that stuff before you go just running in completely out of the blue. So we put a couple of fences down as much as we can around here. As somebody tries to come around, I mean, he's getting a few shots on us, but we've got my ultimate actually that can be used as blocking. I'm going to get some more fences in front of us as well, but we're going to need to move from this position. So very hectic here. I'm just going to pause actually for a moment because of how hectic it is. Let's just get ourselves out of the way of the big ultimate thing. Okay, so there you saw the Octane try to come around the side there. Now that Octane I think would have pushed even more forward because we were around some cover. He needed to actually flank around us. My fences there stopped him from doing that. It kept him on that wall where obviously we could actually see his head. We got loads of shots down on him, and obviously the Bangalore finished it up as well for us, which was fantastic. Now there's only 3 squads left, but we've got to move to get into this ring. However, those 2 squads are still fighting just around that building in front of us. So we've got the chance now to quickly get some heals off. I'm obviously on my ultimate, which is healing us anyway, but then also I'm getting a shield cell off as well. You can see the Bangalore there just down in the bottom left is getting a few shots off, so she's actually making sure that we got a little bit of cover. Now usually what would happen is there's 3 squads, you're wanting the other 2 to fight, and then you get stuck in after a few have gone down. At the moment though, because we're all in such close quarters together, we're all fighting, so we've all got to hold our own. If they sense a little bit of weakness, one of the teams is going to push us and we'll end up coming third, whereas what we obviously want to do is kill one, well, wait for one of the teams to die and then take the first place position from whoever it is that's killed them. So at the moment we're actually just going to get ourselves stuck into the fight because they're already getting in there quite heavy, and you're going to start to see some bodies dropping very shortly, I suspect. But we've got to make sure that we're at full health first. That is the key part to this. So we pop in the cells and we're near enough full. So there you go, another fence to help us out, and Gibraltar Dome saves the Wraith there. But here's the Gibraltar, and we're just making sure that we don't take too many shots. I was mainly focusing there on dodging rather than actually shooting. The Wraith has managed to get away, and that is actually the last squad now. So the Gibraltar obviously was one of them. The Wraith has ran away up there, so I'm going to try and get a few shots on her. I know that I've broken her shield, so we can push this. And the Bangalore puts down some good cover as well. And there we go, I've broken it again. She is flesh, she is so weak, so we're going to push this really hard on her right now. And there you go, she's trying to pop her shield off, but the Bangalore finishes it off, and we flank it quite well there. So there we go. So at the end there, it was mainly a case of making sure that we were healed up enough. We had our defenses down to stop that Octane getting around on us, and then pushing into the 2 teams when they're too busy fighting one another, trying to get the flank round on them. We would have finished it off earlier if there wasn't a Gibraltar Dome saving people. However, because there was that dome there, it just took a little bit longer, but that's okay. I'm just going to obviously pause it here. So there you go. So the Bangalore actually picked up most of the kills in that one, despite we got ourselves a little bit more damage. We were doing a lot more poking distance as well, and we actually got ourselves, I think, like 4 assists during that match as well. It's going to actually carry on playing it, see how many we got precisely. But there you go. I really hope that that helped. Anyway, like I say, there is going to be a guide for Diamond 3 coming out, because that is the one where you get put with all the Masters and Predators, and it's very, very hard. I was playing against like the number 9 in the world or something, or 9 in the world on Xbox last night, and yeah, that was tough. So if you did like that, please leave a like. Obviously, it does help me out, puts a smile on my face, and subscribe as well if you want to see more. And there you go, you can see we did actually, yeah, we got 4 assists there, 3 kills, 4 assists, and obviously a huge 177 points, which actually put us a big chunk of the way there. I'm going to just go ahead and say a few notes at the end here as well. In short, positioning is key on ranked. Positioning and basically the call-outs to your teammates, and it's about listening to one another as well. Now, the closest we actually came to dying during that time, actually, despite we were in a few fights, I think we were in about actual proper gunfights, we were in probably about 4 or 5. There were a couple at the start, but the one where we came close to actually dying in that one was the one where the Bangalore was pushing the lone Loba. And like I say, we should have kept the high ground. We should have waited till she ran out. We should have shot her from high ground if she ran out of cover, basically, because the ring was coming in at some point. She's going to have to move eventually. But the Bangalore obviously was going after those kill points, and it came close to us dying, but fortunately we got out of there and we got repositioned quickly enough before that Mirage came in and properly third-partied us, despite he'd gotten us both down onto about less than 50 health, I think. So it is about that kind of safe wavelength thing, and if your teammate is specifically pinging an area and seems to know what they're doing, do please try and listen to them a little bit. But other than that, yeah, positioning is key, and that's it. And obviously knowing when to take fights on, when to duck out of them. There was obviously the first one at Gauntlet. I was happy taking that fight on because I knew that they were coming at us, and we were quite well geared up. We had better gear from Gauntlet than they would have done from being on that little town on the outside of it as well, purely because better gear spawns there. So I'm happy to take that fight on. However, obviously when that third team came in, then at that point we were like, you know what, we're not going to be able to take on this team of 3. They've got the drop on us. We're actually in a position where they can surround us. So that was why we bounced from that scenario. So it's all about that and just learning basically when to take those fights on a little bit more, because it is a lot harder than Platinum in that regard. People will just generally be better players and will be able to down you quicker. So that's all. So like I say, if you enjoyed it, if it did help, please leave a like and please subscribe as well, and that'll be fantastic, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.